Hello, government. It's week 4 of our online study together. We're continuing on in the unit on political ideologies and beliefs. Last week, we had you all exploring and looking into the concepts of political ideologies, kind of breaking down some of those bigger picture, major aspects of what we mean by a conservative ideology and a liberal ideology. And hopefully, through the infographic and just through a little bit of my discussion with you all, hopefully we were able to really kind of drive it home for you that the idea of a conservative ideology is a big picture umbrella category. Same with then a liberal political ideology. It's a big picture, it's a spectrum of beliefs, it's big picture. And so today, when we have you then start a week in which you're going to explore the two major political parties of the modern US, keep in mind that those are basically portions of a bigger political ideology. You could practice a conservative ideology without even being incredibly involved or aware of politics. The idea of a political ideology is more of what the things you care about, like the starting point, where they stem from, the foundation in which your views and beliefs are set upon. So with that, this week, you really only have one activity to work through, and this is our only video, no major notes to do, because it's Holy Week, and I want to give you the opportunity to have time to reflect on Holy Week as much as you might in a week in which we'd be in person on campus. Yesterday was Palm Sunday, Friday is Good Friday, in which we take a day to reflect on the death of Christ on the cross. And then this upcoming Sunday is Easter Sunday, where we celebrate the empty tomb and Jesus coming back to life once more, resurrecting. And so I want to be, of course, mindful of that. And in a standard week, we would take Friday off of school. And so I don't want to kind of load you up with stuff to do this week. So for your activity for this week, I'm going to ask that you take time learning about some of the actual stated views and beliefs of each of the two major parties of modern American politics and government, which of course are the Republican and Democratic parties. Now, as we talked about last time, the Democratic Party stems from liberal ideological viewpoints. The Republican Party stems from conservative ideological viewpoints. So there's some of the things that you'll see in there that you'll hopefully will kind of connect to some of the language and views of the infographic that you looked at last week. But the activity in which you're going to do, I've provided you with links for the party platforms that each party put out for the 2016 election. Now, each presidential election, which happens every 4 years, each political party puts out a party platform. Now, again, this only happens every 4 years. It's not an every year or an updated month-to-month type of thing. But every 4 years, each major party publishes a party platform in which they, in what sometimes is anywhere between like a 40 to 65 page document, they put together a listing of all of the views in which that party is going to try to put forth through the presidential candidate that they are putting forward into the race. So we'll have 2020 party platforms that'll be put out most likely by August at the latest, probably in advance then of the November general election, in which we'll see a 2020 Republican and a 2020 Democratic platform stating all of the views of this is what we're pushing for in this election. Because we don't have the 2020 ones yet, I've given you links to the 2016 Republican Party platform and the 2016 Democratic Party platform. And I'm not asking you to read it word for word. But what I would recommend you do is start by just skimming through each party platform. Look at the what are the section titles, because some of that's going to tell you like the tone, and then just go section by section and just skim through a little bit just to kind of get used to the wording and language of each. Once you've taken some time just to kind of skim through each of them, The activity that you're going to do is in a file that I've included in the digital resources that you'll then type into and upload as an assignment. But I'm going to ask you to go through each platform according to a couple different policy areas. I've put together 5 or 6 different policy areas. For example, one of which, the last one I've asked you to look at, is each party's views, goals, strategies for the policy area of the environment. And so what you'll do is you'll go through the Republican Party platform and look through any sections or discussions on the policies the party is going to have in regards to the environment. And I want you just to kind of sum up what's the Republican Party's views, goals, strategies in regards to policies for the environment. And then do the same thing for the Democratic Party as well, their views, goals, strategies for policies related to the environment. And I want you just to go kind of item by item through those policy areas, just giving a couple sentences on what each party's overall views and goals are in each policy area. So that's what the task is for you this week. I want to ask you to not directly quote each one. If you can't think of another way to phrase it, or you're not really sure what wording is, then try really hard to still sum it up in your own words. But if you have to quote, I just want you to go away from it if you can. But with that, if you are going to quote, make sure you actually do use quotation marks and don't just type out the words, because I'm going to assume that they're your words. And if it shows up as then a direct quote from the party platform, I have to assume that as plagiarism. So make sure you just use quotation marks if it's directly from the party platforms. These are the only sources I want you to use for this, is what the actual parties themselves say. So don't use outside sources. And that means that if you are using direct quotes, I already know what sources they're coming from, so no need for a works cited on this activity. But that's what you're doing. I've got instructions to kind of supplement this in the directions for the lesson on Plus Portals. So read those if this part's not as clear. But just go through that file, go through the party platforms, and take some time to learn about the stated views, goals, and policy ideas from each party, from those parties themselves. And hopefully that'll be a helpful activity for you this week. God's blessings this week with all of you on Holy Week as we reflect on the arrival, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the suffering servant, sacrificed King who lives and reigns yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever. May you have a blessed week, and I will look forward to seeing what you all come up with. Bless you guys.